So our brief, Hatem, is to talk about how we scale up the startups to be the future of the economy here. But let's put the context here about your role, and what your priorities are at the moment. You're a leader, a huge company, working in many jurisdictions, building the future of communications technology. What's top of your inbox?
So we have announced a new strategy in 2022 where we have expanded from being a telecom company to becoming a technology company. So we have expanded in the value chain into doing some other activities that are in adjacencies that fit very, very well with our strategy, that helps our customers, if they are enterprise, do business better, if they are consumers, enjoy life in a better way, whether it's make things easier. I've seen as I'm coming on stage, WeoBank, for example, is one of the sponsors of this stage. We are a major shareholder there. We have Ian Money, which is a fintech app. We also have Stars, which is a streaming app. This is in the consumer side. In the enterprise side, we do a lot of things. But let me go back a few steps, because a lot of people think of telecom as something that is really in the background, something that is not important. If we think of the Magnificent Seven, these great companies in technology, what was the main technology behind companies like Facebook and some of its applications like Instagram and WhatsApp? It was 3G and camera phones. This is the core of telecoms. Amazon became Amazon because people were going online in their e-commerce real estate and buying all kinds of things. Apple, iPhones became iPhones with connectivity. So throughout the last 2 decades, the telecom industry has been the backbone of many of the technology advancements that we see today. And I think now we're starting another era we have with 5G standalone, which we have now in some of our markets. We have launched here in the UAE, and now we're going to roll that in other markets. And 5G standalone, which we're calling it here 5.5G, is going to enable a lot of new businesses, a lot of startups.
And you are critical infrastructure, and there's no indication that demand is going to decrease. We're only starting to see what AI is going to do for our businesses, for our social interactions, for the way we consume content. But you won't do this alone. You are part of an ecosystem. You have teams investing in the companies of the future as well as the infrastructure. We're at a startup and investor event. What are the main opportunities you see for working with some of the talent at Expand North Star?
I think the technology allows you to do a lot of things that you cannot do in the past. So, for example, 5G technology allows you to do applications that rely on ultra low latency. So remote control of many, many things, from medical devices to real-time remote control of vehicles or drones, and lots of things that were not possible before that are possible now. And the ecosystem has to make use of this. So the technology is there, so similar to what 3G and 4G enabled, this new technology, because 5G when it started did not offer that low latency compared to 4G. Now it does. So all this allows for a whole new world of applications. Also, we can see now that the world has moved in a way that AI allows you to do a lot of things. In the past, you needed a huge development team to code an app. Now, you have the infrastructure, you have AI that can help a lot of startups scale very fast and be able to debug and program and reprogram their applications and improve them. As a telecom industry, and EAND is one of the leaders in that, we have also joined forces to expose some of the APIs in the telecom business that can allow application builders to be able to use these APIs to improve the performance of their applications. I can give you an example. There's an API that can determine if a customer is roaming. So if you have an anti-fraud requirement in your application and that customer is trying to do something where they are not supposed to be, you can query the system and you would be able to know if this is the real customer or fraud. So this is another example of something that has developed in the last 12 months, where telcos around the world have joined in a consortium to be able to give these capabilities to the customers. Before, you needed to be either Apple with iOS because the operating system has a lot of information, or your Google with Android and the operating system also has a lot of information, but they don't talk together. But the telcos are able to bridge across. So any customer that is using mobility will have some data that would be useful to this ecosystem.
So you have transformed to a technology company from a telco. Does that mean, as we see the growth of very, very big companies that run the autonomous transport network, the health monitoring system, the AI-enabled education system, that you partner with them, or that you need to be a part owner of them? Do you stay as infrastructure, or do you see strategically the reason to be a participant in these large new businesses?
Actually, all of the above. So there are businesses where we're going to really go heavy in and do it ourselves. There are businesses where we are going to invest a small stake, a minority stake, and be part of that ecosystem. And there are businesses which we're going to partner with, which we're going to enable and not necessarily go to. So it will really depend on how that fits with our customer, what they need, and also in our investment thesis on what we will do. But we will do all of these in the coming period. Today, you can see, for example, we are a majority owner of Kareem Super App, which is a main app that people are using not only in the UAE but across the region for many things, and it's a joint venture with Uber. Stars is a joint venture with Lionsgate and is providing entertainment. On the other side, WEU Bank, we have a minority, it's an investment in Egypt, and I've talked to some people from the media in Egypt. We're an investor in Breadfast, which is the biggest online grocery today in Egypt. So it really depends on the type of business, and I think it will be very dynamic. And as it evolves, I think some that we are a minority, we might buy more, some that we might exit. And this is also a different mindset, because in the past, companies went in and were always stuck for decades into what they do. We think ourselves as very dynamic. As the technology and the customer needs change, we are also going to pivot and maybe change our investment criteria according to the customer needs.
This is an unusual language to hear from somebody who's an incumbent, the idea that you think in an agile way like a startup. How do you embed some of that startup thinking inside an established multi-billion organization?
So I think the key thesis that we have, which is different than many other telcos and even other technology companies, is that we really are using the scale, but we run as small independent businesses. So we don't have anything centralized except some of the finance functions, some of the HR functions. However, operationally, we are acting with the agility of all small companies. So we have the verticals. So an example is Ian Life, which is the consumer vertical. My colleague here, Khalifa, is the CEO of Ian Life. And under Ian Life, we have businesses like Stars. Stars is run an independent business. They don't even sit in our locations. The founder is still the CEO of that business. They run almost independently. However, they can come to us to use the scale when they need to. Same thing with Ian Money. So Ian Money is one of our fintech apps. It's a wallet, 100% owned. and we have a complete team. They sit together, they don't sit with other parts of the organization. However, they exchange ideas. There's always an information flow. In the enterprise side, we acquired 5 years ago a company called Help AG, which is a leader in cybersecurity in the region. And again, they are sitting in separate offices. The founder was the CEO until recently, and then one of their leaders stepped up to become the CEO. They still run independently. However, we try through our normal connectivity, sales force, to sell their services, to help them and give them a boost up. So I think what we're trying to do is keep the agility and independence of small startups, but be within an ecosystem where you are helped and get the scale of that giant we are in the region.
And this ecosystem has something that every startup here wants, which is distribution to millions of people. And I imagine that when you come off stage, we're going to need Taylor Swift style security because everybody's going to be pitching you. What are the sorts of pitches you actually want to hear? What are the sorts of startup businesses that you think that is going to be part of our future?
Look, I think the key thing is being digital. So I think most of the startups that will be here will fit the criteria, because we are not going, for example, to invest or partner with, let's say, a cafe or a restaurant. This is not our business. But if it's a business that is primarily digital, then it probably fits somehow. Either there's an opportunity to partner, there's an opportunity for investment, and then Harrison, my colleague who runs EN Capital, will want to talk to them, and you can see he looks very much like very much like a VC, even okay, one of the company we invested in. So then we are ready to invest, or maybe it's big enough and fits so much close to the core, like Help AG was, like Stars, like Kareem, where we would want to make a much bigger investment and acquire a big chunk of and make it really part of the family.
A lot of the startups think they can hyperscale using AI. Large language models have suddenly given a superpower to growth. Sam Altman talks about that time soon when there'll be a one-person billion-dollar company by leveraging AI. From your position, how do you see both the opportunity and the risks of this moment of rapid AI growth, both in terms of the investment going into it, in terms of the expectations, and also in terms of some of the governance issues?
I think AI is here to stay, like many of the industrial revolutions. So the same way people were skeptic about steam engines, about electricity, about the capability of computing, I think AI is definitely here to stay. And I think it's going to change the way we do business. I think we are at a point where we are still at the very early days of exploring the full benefits of AI. We still, waiting to see AI becoming more intelligent fully than a smart human being. Already it is more intelligent than, let's say, an average person, but not yet smarter than
6 years away. Silicon Valley seems to say super intelligence. Does that worry you?
I think that what we will do is AI will complement a lot of people in the way they work. So it is going to replace some jobs, but a lot more it is going to complement people working. And to do that, you will need devices that are capable to do it. You will need a lot of AI at the edge for mission critical systems. AI as a tool, you need to also understand the capabilities and the drawbacks, and we know that there were lots of biases in the early days of AI, and slowly these are being removed. We also, have to make sure that we're governing AI in the proper way to ensure the data integrity, data privacy of people. And within, for example, our ecosystem, we have implemented a full AI governance system that makes sure that all the projects we're doing would always be preserving the anonymity of data, in a way that preserves privacy of our customers. So it's a very fine line of how you teach AI to improve it without infringing on the rights and the privacy of the customers.
We humans are trusting you, Hatem, to look after us as you grow with your role central in the entrepreneurial ecosystem here. Thank you for sharing your vision with us. Thank you for being open to a crazy number of startup pitches between here and the exit door.
Thank you very much, Dave.